Measuring patient risk. This is module 4.1.1 of the healthcare analytics class in Petit Parenti from the Carlson School of Management. This is the beginning of our fourth week, and from this week 3 is the first time you really got a chance of really working with SAS and R if you ventured in there, but mostly with SAS to see how the program's working. Weeks 4, weeks 5, and then later 7 are really going to be focused on using similar sorts of tool sets. So in the third week, we just focused on counting folks with different conditions and just age, gender. When you think about what you have to do for, say, a market sizing analysis, something that's featured a lot in some of the Millie courses, the evaluation lab, like how many folks have a disease, how many folks have a disease in this procedure. I mean, really, week 3 covers that, and actually with a little bit of sophistication, you could use those prototype programs and actually do a lot of work for market sizing. When we get now to week 4, when we talk about patient risk, now we have to talk about how sick they are. And this is actually a pretty robust area. Now, to do this, again, we're going to be visiting the SAS Studio. And just to show you where we're, again, headed, pick another identity here. Go in. So for this module, just as a review, as we start beginning this, for week 4, there is, of course, the video playlist that you're watching right now. We're going to be reviewing, as our peer-reviewed literature or example, this Johns Hopkins ACG manual. It's something actually I worked, not the manual, but Johns Hopkins software I worked with quite a bit, going back since 1990. The goal, of course, is to get to your structured analytic query. That's going to be a lot like what you had seen previously, just to show you a little bit of endgame, and we'll look at this later. I'll give you the preview version of this, just to see it. Same sort of thing we did in week 3, basically 10 questions coming from that spreadsheet design, this time customized for week 4. So let's go to SAS Studio. We actually brought up here week 4 prototype, just in case you're wondering, look rid of that, show you again how to do this. There are examples here of each of these programs. We're going to bring one up right now. And you will have to customize the library names and the file names. We'll talk about that a little bit further on in the videos. But when you see what's going on here, what makes this a little more interesting is that we're talking about looking at a whole range of different diseases. This goes deeper into just that simple 2 or 3 disease thing we focused on last time. We're also going to be focused on these things known as ambulatory diagnostic groups, which are a robust bit of clinical set. And we're going to highlight not all 34 of them, but basically 7 that are pretty important. One for asthma, another one for chronic medical conditions that are stable, meaning that they're actually, things are more or less under control, say a diabetic who is under control. Chronic medical unstable, where things are not so good. Injuries and adverse events can be very expensive. And then a set of 3 mental health components, psychosocial, where it's fairly brief and time limited. Psychosocial where it's recurrent and they're stable, and psychosocial more expensively when they're unstable. And again, you will be asked to customize this for your states that work with your particular data seed. We'll go through that as an illustration here briefly, but just to give you a further preview, this, like most of these programs, they will run as they were before, and you just need to adapt them for the states. The hope is that as you do this and look through some of these programs, some of it might just seem like complete gibberish, like I don't know how it's working. At the same time, the hope is that as you do make changes to them, and particularly as you're getting ready to think about something more focused for your health affairs style paper, you'll have a little more confidence in terms of changing them. Again, to emphasize, you can't break these. We have even an emergency resuscitation set of programs that are sitting in the background. And all of these, the good news is that these are all really sitting in my account. You can't save these. You have to basically put them in your own account. You can always bring a version of it back as you need to. So just to wrap up very briefly for this particular lecture, our goal is going to be, again, to to do the SAS exercise. It's going to be focused on risk adjustment. Show you the next module exactly what the table is we're going to be filling out. And again, answering those 10 questions that come from that spreadsheet and then handing in that spreadsheet customized for your state. This concludes this module on measuring patient risk in the beginning of week 4.